Best bites forever.
Hey, what's up everyone? In this video, I am making this super creamy fettuccine and shrimp Alfredo. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and do so now and let's rock it out. In this pan right here, I have some water that I'm bringing up to a boil. I have a ton of salt in there, probably around a quarter cup of iodized. Here in this pan, I have about a quarter cup of olive oil along with some butter, probably 2 tablespoons or so. Please keep in mind during this video, I am cooking with one hand more or less. As you can see, this is from when I hurt my hand. Actually, my dog hurt my hand for me, but that's another video. So I am putting these shrimp into my beautiful butter and olive oil combination, just giving them a little bit of kosher salt on top, and I'm going to let them cook for a minute or so on this side before I flip them. I will be using some white pepper here in a couple of minutes, also just a little sprinkle on one side. So again, I am one-handed cooking, so my poor little pot is spinning quite a bit here. The shrimp that I have in here have been previously frozen. They are detailed, deveined, and already shelled for me, except for that one shell that they missed in there, but that's okay. I thawed these out gently in the refrigerator overnight, and then I put them on paper towels to remove any excess water. You don't want to have that water going into the pan. I'm going to be doing my shrimp in 2 batches, but for the second batch, I'm going to add a little bit of garlic into my oil, probably around 2 teaspoons. Fresh is definitely better, but I can't chop at this point, so it is what it is. I'm going to add my shrimp into that beautiful garlic oil, and the reason I didn't add my garlic in for the first batch is simply because I didn't want my garlic to overcook. So once that second batch is finished cooking, I'm going to take them out and set them over to the side and add in some onions. I don't have any particular measurement, just maybe let's call it a half a cup-ish, and again, I'm using the pre-chopped onions because that's what I gotta do right now. I'm going to go ahead and saute these around until they become translucent kind of ish, and I also want to kind of start scraping up those bits that are on the bottom from the shrimp. I'm going to add in half of a cup of a dry white wine, your choice of what you want to add in there, but make sure that it is dry, and go ahead and scrape the little bits off of the bottom again. Now for this recipe, originally I had planned on using these sun-dried tomatoes. Unfortunately, I had had the package open for a little while, and when I put them in, they looked a little bit funky, so I started completely over and got up to this point. So now I am adding in a small can of diced tomatoes. I think it's about a 14.5 ounce can-ish, and I'm just going to give that a little stir and then give it a little bit of kosher salt, maybe a little bit of pepper if you're feeling in the mood, and then I'm going to let this reduce down just a little bit, not all the way, because I do want to keep this pretty saucy like me, but I also want to reduce it down a little bit and condense those flavors. I've also added in, let's call it 2.5 to 3 ounces of cream cheese, and I'm just going to stir that around until it gets like melty goodness and nice and creamy in there. And then I'm going to add in some pre-chopped frozen spinach. Again, everything I'm using is already cut up for me for obvious reasons. Next, I wanted to add in some of the shredded Parmesan cheese. Unfortunately, that was pretty much empty, so I went ahead and I used the grated Parmesan. I usually keep both in the house, and sometimes I even have the fancy block of the nice Parmesan that I shred up myself, but I'm not shredding my own cheese right now, so moving on. I'm going to add a little bit of white pepper in there, and again, do this to your own taste, and you probably shouldn't just be pouring it straight into the sauce, but I'm living on the edge today. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and add my little shrimpies back in there, and they are already cooked, but we do want to warm them back through. So I'm just going to stir them right into the sauce. You could also keep them over to the side and just put them on top when you're serving if you wanted to. This is my beautiful pasta. I just cooked it according to the package instructions. It took 8 minutes in my very salty water. I drained it and I tossed it with just a little bit of olive oil so the noodles weren't sticking to each other. This is what it is looking like when it is in my pot. It is absolutely gorgeous. Just make sure you get it really thoroughly stirred. And of course, here is my plate up. Hey, if you haven't subscribed already, now would be a really great time. And if you are a subscriber, thank you so much for being a subscriber. You're awesome and I love you. And I will see y'all in the next video. Happy cooking, everyone.
Best bites forever. forever.com.